Hi there, my name is Kendrick, and today I get to interview Laura. So, Laura, welcome.
Hi,
So,
I'm
Laura,
trying to turn it.
can you tell us your full type, please?
Yes, ISTJ, and it's SIFI, sleep, blast, play, consume, double masculine.
Gotcha. And then when you got your typing results back like long time ago, what did you think and how did you feel?
I couldn't believe how wrong they could be. I've identified as the INTP for 25 or 30 years intensely. So, I think in some regards I molded myself into that. So, I was in a group for like 6 years of INTP women. It's just, it was just so hard. And I've come to realize, I think, primarily that the sensing I took as intuition, because being that awareness of the world around me, I thought was intuition because I'm the one that walks into the room and sees a crooked picture, and I stop at a stoplight and I know when the light changes. I'll fiddle in the car. And so that was all intuition to me. It wasn't anything about abstract, or it was like the typical Myers-Briggs intuition.
But that was sensory awareness
It
instead.
was sensory awareness. And like, my ex-husband, I told him all these years how intuitive I was, and he trusted me
Yeah.
as an intuitive. And so now I just find out, because I was always standing there with the tool he needed. And I thought that was intuition.
Oh, you should see my girlfriend. She's like an INTJ, and she almost always gets hit by cars. I have to like grab her because she just doesn't see her.
Oh,
The physical world doesn't exist.
she's an INTJ.
Yeah, the jumper kind of like the NIF.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
not
no. I know, like whenever I know when everybody gets seated at a restaurant, what order they're supposed to get their food. If somebody gets their food before us, I'm like, over here. Why'd they get their food before us?
Oh,
I'm
oh, you're
so
tracking that.
aware of who gets seated first or who gets. Whoops, sorry.
Is that because you're like self above tribe being lead sleep? Like you're like, hey, that's not fair to me. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, it's the other way around too. I'm like, well, they were here first. So it's a double decider.
right,
I'm
right,
like,
that
you need
makes
to
sense.
catch them first.
Um, so when did you come to terms that you were not a decider, but an observer actually, and you have things problem, not people. People problem is not like the biggest
Oh
problem.
yeah. Well, I didn't understand any of that. I wasn't accepting any of that. I just was so hung up on this ability to intuit. And I think I probably got that mixed up with the double deciding as well. Because I thought I was so, you know, I am so TNF balanced, being a jumper especially.
Right.
And so I thought, I think I got the intuition confused even with the double deciding. Does that make sense?
It makes sense from your example.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's true because you're self of a tribe, but your identity is feminine, and then you're masculine with the tribe, so it could look like that way. It's kind of like how you explained it. So you're like super in the middle, and you have double activated extrovert thinking also. So you're gonna be very like tribe-ish, even though you're self above
Yeah.
tribe. So you're like in
Yeah.
the like it's almost like 51, 40, 49,
Yeah. It
percent.
really is.
Yeah. And then do you find yourself to be like very caring of other people too and whatnot? And
It's weird because you know, this is one thing I had trouble understanding why they thought I pushed on the tribe, because I don't hardly ever externally push on the tribe. Mentally, I mean, I don't like call people idiots all the time in my head, but I'm thinking, oh, they could have done that so much better. And, I rarely, I might be like the barbecue girl that erupts on in the park like once every 5 years. That girl that went off on the people barbecuing. Did you ever see that video?
no, but you
It was
you
one of David Shan's examples that she just went off on the people barbecuing in the park. And that might happen to me once every 5 years. But most of the time, I'm never pushing on the tribe. So, but I did come to understand I am mentally. And so when I care, it's always in an emergency situation. Like I always rise to the occasion. You know, I don't think I have this deep caring because, if you're going to whine and there's no sympathy. I mean, it's not that there's no sympathy. It's just that I'm not on board your sympathy train.
Right.
So, but like if there's, an incident in the family, I'm the one flying out there. I'm the one rushing in to call all the people that need to be called. And so in that way, I'm very caring. But that's probably not really caring.
Just for emergencies. If you have an emergency, pull the Laura. That's an emergency. But
But for me going, oh, I'm so sorry. I understand. I'm like, that has to really be, I have to really care about you to generate that up.
right. Our interview is interesting because I messaged you back in 2019 and then you replied back like 2023. It's like 4 years later. I was like, huh?
My dad had just passed. I had just returned to custody of my grandkids. I mean, my life was hard then. So the grandkids went back to their parents. My dad passed. I moved in with my mother. She's self-sufficient, but I'm taking care of her too. So it's just been a hard couple of years. COVID.
Right. Yeah. No, it has been a bumpy ride this last few years. Let's go over your animals. Your first animal is SF, SIFI. Can you share how you personally experienced that? It's your first animal, so it's like what you value essentially.
Yeah, I just experience it as being an introvert. I mean, I'm happy alone. I find stuff to do. I'm not really a self-starter, so that's a little confusing. But I do pursue what I'm interested in exactly. And I got something else I want to say, but it's about consume last, but it's kind of related because I watch, I couldn't believe I wasn't a consumer because, I mean, I watch every science show 3 times, like Nova. And I mean, I just can't. I've seen every documentary on Netflix. I joke that I finished Netflix. So, I'm just starving for that. But I do understand how I'm not a consumer. So I think, see, that all got confused with the sleep. And this is the double society, because I am happy and content to sit and watch those TV shows. And it feels like consuming to me. But I do understand that it's not the consume. Does that make sense?
It does. It does in some ways. But I mean, obviously I can pull more context, but
Yeah.
well, maybe we'll do that later when we get to the consume question.
Okay. But watching TV so much is my point. It's sleep energy. Watching TV so much. Or searching on the internet so much.
Yeah. Well, we'll get it. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
That sounds like it's sleep in a way because you're searching from what you already know, like so it's not like something completely outside of your box. It's like something inside your box that you're searching for.
Yeah, true.
So part of SF sleep is having like a health routine. So I'll give you an example, and maybe you can give me some examples for yourself. So they have some examples in the classes of people who are like SF sleep class like me, but like and how the ones who have it last are actually practicing it, and it's pretty cool to see it. So one thing that they do is having a health routine. So having an exercise routine, having a routine for eating healthy food, having a routine for sleep, having a routine for mental de-stressing. You could also involve, anything healthcare related, like seeing the doctor, dentist, physiotherapist, massage therapist, a psychologist. So do you obsess over that to make sure that you're like tip top shape or not so much?
See, that's such a weird deal. And I mean, I am such an INTP girl. Sorry, I had to throw that in. I mean, I don't bathe well. I don't brush my teeth every day. I don't. The only thing I do like that is I don't believe in the medical system. I just started seeing a new kind of naturalist. Um, I take a handful of vitamins and I make my tea every morning the same way. And that's all I could really identify. I don't do any exercise. When I was married, my ESTP ex-husband kept me busy, and he was my social director, but since I've been divorced and not working, especially since I've retired, no, I don't. I sleep whenever I want, and I have broken sleep. I'll sleep 3 hours, be awake for 3 hours, and sleep another 2 hours. It's really, I don't know. That's me. And and I've always been this way. I've never cared about being having makeup on and everything, but I do have a real internal, even though with my voice and some of my mannerisms, my legs are crossed, and I have a real feminine identity of myself. In other words, I always want to be taken care of. I always want to be, if I'm going out, I do dress up, but I don't like put on false eyelashes or, I'm going to be more towards the hippie side. I mean, I'm going to, have on something unusual or flowery or some kind of rocky necklace. It's weird. You tell me.
It's because it's SF sleep, so it's your own style. Because like the ESFPs, for example, they copy what the trend is, or ESTPs as well. Because they look at like the outside world, and then they're like, oh, that's what's like popular right now, so I'm gonna go look like that. But if you have like SIFI like us, because I'm an ENFP, so I have the same functions as you, then you're like, nope, this is my style, I'm gonna stick to this, kind of deal. Yeah. So I guess the bad thing about us is we could fall behind on when it comes to fashion or something,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, and they said something about my interview, about calling people that, or maybe it was a video about calling people and asking them what they're gonna wear. I'm like, people do that? Why would I call anybody and ask them what they're gonna wear? Just like, and another thing they said that tickled me so much was that 10 people can't convince me of anything that I've decided on. And that's very true too. Does that fall in line? I'm just jumping around here. Sorry.
Well, for the SF, then for sure, because that's your sleep, right? And you're also double OI, so you're like very like in the box, because you have sleep and blast together. So anything gathering is all your demons. Because play and consume are your demons, right? And those are your gathering animals, and they're both your demons. So you don't have any gathering is gonna be like the hardest thing for you. It's like someone has to bring it in for it to come in. If no one introduces it to you, it's not gonna come in,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's cover the blast part then. You're double activated, it's double masculine, and it's SITE, so it's ST. So it's like getting the job done, essentially. Can you talk about like being aggressive at getting the job done? When you were still working, maybe when you were younger, like what were you like, with the doing stuff, and how are you now?
Yeah. Well, I'm always to the point. True. The niceties are, I really have to pencil those in to get those. How are you today? How's your week been? I'm like, because I was in sales, and I mean, sales to me is like hell on earth. But I was in a particular situation where I was selling a product that everybody was waiting on me to get there. It was a fabric line. I had 5 states. They were waiting on me because it was the most popular. I was in and out in 2 hours. I traveled in my own motorhome. I had my own food. So it worked out for me. So to say I was in sales is really bizarre, because it wasn't really sales, as like sticking your foot in the door and convincing somebody to buy. but I was in there and I kept things moving, and I do, and I went out and did my reports as soon as I got done, and they were off, and I don't want anything piling up. And but by the same token, I blame Blast on my unpopularity, a lifetime of unpopularity, because I think I just boom at people, and I see it sometimes, and I'm like, and then there's times you're just like, I'll be sitting in a Bible study or something, and I'm biting my tongue. They don't need to hear. I don't have to comment on everything, but I want to.
Yeah.
I have a comment. And it just makes you annoying, I think. And like I also too, people take me so seriously when I blast. And I'm like, I'm so flexible. I'm like, and Fiddler on the Roof, Tivia says, on the other hand. And I'm like, on the other hand, there's two sides. So it always tickles me when people think after I've blasted something that I'm so set on it. I'm like, no, let's talk about it and change. I'll be different tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I've hammered them so hard that they're like, she's in concrete.
They don't know you have feminine FI inside, and you're actually like easygoing, and they don't know you have extrovert thinking, right? So your ideas are not personal. So you're like, oh, it's stupid. Okay, I don't care. That's
right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the TIs would take you seriously. The TEs would kind of get it. They're like, oh, okay, it's just another idea. It's not like serious or anything.
Yeah.
Your SI is serious though, like how you organize things. So.
I think so. Is that like specifically about like values and worldviews?
It's like it's more physical. So SI is physical, right? So like, are you possessive with your object, with your things?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's like being like territorial with your stuff, or like being like nitpicky with like how I'll give an example. I have SI also, right? And it's all masculine. Mine's a demon though. So when I used to live with my girlfriend, when we used to live in an apartment and people come over to our apartment, I'm like, no, you can't wear shoes inside the house. You have to leave it at the door. So I'm like a massive like I'm really controlling when it comes to that.
Shoe Nazi.
Yeah, shoe Nazi. Yeah, I'm a shoe Nazi. But I have I have feminine TE, so I'm not aggressive when I say it. I'm like, hey, I'm just like, oh, hey, can you guys please put it there? So, but it's still like, I'm very particular with like even the kitchen arrangement. Like, I get so upset when my girlfriend leaves the dishes in the sink. I'm like, no, after you eat, you don't dump it in the sink. You wash it right away and you put it away. I'm like, I don't like seeing that piled up crap on the table, and I don't like seeing dirty floors either. Like when there's like stuff all over the floor. Because my girlfriend's feminine extrovert sensing, so she's messy as hell. So I get stressed out so much, right? Because like I'm a minimalist. Like I'm not super clean, but I'm tidy. So that's like masculine SI. So I don't know if you can relate to that, but
well, I have this weird thing where I'm messy on the outside. I'm the opposite of everybody who stuffs it in the drawers. Like my closet's organized and the inside the drawers are organized, but the desk will pile up. You can't count any of this because this is my crafting area. But, if you open a drawer, it's neat. But if it doesn't have that place and I haven't organized it yet, it's piled up. So, I don't always get it done right away, but I always have the intent of, it's ugly. My books are, in order. But they get out of order too, and I leave them for a while.
Is there any particular area in your house that is always in order? Because I can relate to what you said. Like my table right now is messy, so it's not like everything's in order. I'm just particular about the floor.
Yeah.
So everything else,
the kitchen and my closet are probably the two. The Campbell's soup is all chicken noodle, cream of mushroom, cream of chicken, all faced forward.
Yeah.
The spices are on the turning wheel in alphabetical order.
Wow. Wow.
It's simple little things. It's something I'll do when I'm waiting on something to boil.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So would you get upset if someone rearranged though?
Yes, yes. And my mother's so compliant. She's like, "Oh, honey, you just do whatever you want. You live here." I'm like,
That's funny.
"Yay!" And I'm a bit of with the chaos thing, I'm a little bit of a prepper, just a little bit. And so I've got a whole bunch of food in the back room, and that bugs her a little bit. She doesn't like the rotation and and I'm constantly rotating and keeping stock and
Oh, you're like a doomsday prepper, kind of?
yeah, I call it interruption of services
Okay.
so that people don't think I'm crazy.
I've seen a lot of like movies where there's like a doomsday prepper. I swear they're all ISTJs or something.
Got to be prepared for that chaos.
Yeah. Well,
It's true. I mean,
it,
they caught me on toilet paper and they will never catch me again. I've got toilet paper everywhere.
I have a friend, he's an ENTP, he's a school teacher, and then he's very cynical. So during the pandemic when the toilet paper thing was like missing, he was saying like, well, obviously wiping your ass will prevent COVID from happening. That's why everyone's doing it, you know? So,
Oh my gosh, what's out there?
yeah, that's why he said that, so I thought it was so good when he said that. Because I was like, it's a pandemic. I don't think it's a Armageddon. It's not like a meteor falling in the sky. It's like if you look at the track record of human history, pandemics coming
Oh,
and go
yeah.
100 years. And,
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
yeah, it's not like okay, but anyways, whatever. So I do like the idea of doomsday though. I sometimes I think it would be fun to hide in a bunker and just like
Yeah.
eat food there and stuff and have
Eat MREs.
yeah.
But I'm always, and I'm not sure what about my personality type does this. I never fully commit to anything. Like even my religion, I don't want to drink the water. I'm not going to be a tin hat prepper. I don't have any Faraday cages. I know what one is, but I just don't ever. I don't buy into whatever the system is or anything, fully. I'm always going to be back here because I don't want to be one of you crazies.
I think that's just double deciding. Like,
okay.
I think you can see the bad and good in every organization. So,
yes, exactly.
So you don't want to go all in per se because going all in means going all into bad also. So
yes,
like you want your foot in, like the good. Yeah. So it's just double deciding. I get where you're coming from. Like there's no organization that's truly bad or good, right? It's just everything has bad and good in them, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is why you can't be an INTP because you can see this too clearly. Like you're so balanced with this that
oh yeah, and I think I might have mentioned this years ago in Benjamin's interview, but one thing that always has been hard for me my whole life is I can make a case for all 4 multiple choice answers. I mean, it has to be like we're going to be hit by a meteor way out there for me to rule one out. I mean, I can make a case for it, and it caused me so much trouble in grad school. I mean, that was the worst because it was more vague than any other, it seemed like to me. But even when I was a kid, there was a program called SRA, and you'd go get this card out of the box. You'd read the 5 paragraphs, and then you'd have to answer. And I wasn't good at it. And I'm telling you, it nearly ruined me in the 5th grade because kids were going faster than me. And, I couldn't do it right. And, I mean, I was tested high IQ when I was young, and they always tried to, push me. And I could not do that because I couldn't pick that right answer out.
I think that's probably your NT play because it's like your third animal. Because you figure things out with people, you don't figure things out in your head, right? So with I have NT play also. So for me to come up with a solution, I have to bounce back and forth with someone. for me to come up with it. And it's because it's play, it's very open-ended. So the solution could be anything. So if you're looking at the multiple choice,
Yeah.
like you could, and you're using your NE in this situation, actually, you're like, well, it could be, there's a different possibilities, and there's no way that could just be it. So people with introvert thinking would be annoyed at you because they're leaving it too open-ended, right? And then they're like, nope, there is the correct answer.
Yeah.
And then for you, it's like, well, you could argue this
But
and this. So,
yeah.
yeah. Let's go over your last animal now.
Okay.
NF consume. So your consume is last, and it's double feminine. So it's gonna be the hardest one to see or practice. And also it's NF. So it's like more like the purpose and meaning, but it's double feminine, so it's gonna be very insecure. So how do you, let's go over the NF part first.
Okay.
So for me, I have NF as a demon. I have it third. I'm an ENFP, but I'm the weird ENFP. So I'm the only one in the Facebook groups that has Blast Savior as an ENFP. I'm play Blast, consume sleep. So a jumper ENFP. Now I do have consume third, so I have access to it. So, and I know
Say that again.
I have consumed third in my animal stack.
Oh, so you do have access to it. Okay.
Yeah, because it's third. So you have access to your third one, right? The fourth one you have
Yeah.
access also, but you need more practice and conscious effort. But regardless, I noticed that people with NF consume, they tend to get meaning and purpose from new life experience. So when you do something new, suddenly you have this like burst of energy inside. You're like, wow, there's so much, amazing. This world is amazing. There's so much to live for, right? And then when you're not doing that, you kind of feel flat and something's wrong. You kind of feel depressive, and then you need that energy from the new experience. Otherwise, you get stuck in a rut. Do you relate with that when someone just drag you to do something new and you're like, oh my God, this is like the best ever?
You always have to drag me. I mean, my parents used to have to drag me. My ex-husband used to have to drag me. But you're so right. I'm like this epiphany girl,
Yeah.
I'm just like, and I want to move there and live that life. And I'm like, let's just stay here and experience this, and let's just not ever leave. And yeah, but I never seek it. Hardly ever. And like, I have that sleep. I mean, like even before this interview, I thought, why did I commit to this? So if I commit to go with friends, or I'm like, I'm dreading it so bad the week before. I can't sleep. I can't. It's just awful.
Right.
And then I get there and everything is great. But it's like, my cousins came a couple of weeks ago, and I mean, I dreaded it for a month. I just was like, oh, we're gonna have to feed them, and we're gonna have to have conversations about this now. And we had a ball. We had so much fun.
Yeah, you lead sleeps are weird like that. My girlfriend is lead sleep, and then she's always like, oh my God, I have to hang out with this person today. And then it's like, I just want to stay home. Can we just like watch TV together? I'm like, no, you need to go out, get out of the house. Yep. You're always happy when you come back home. She's like, okay, fine. And then she gets home. She's like blowing up, so happy. Waiting to tell me the report of what happened. So yeah, you guys are weird. I'm like, and like, and the weird thing is you already know too that this is what's gonna happen. Yet you still resist it. It's so weird. It's so weird.
And one of the things I did want to talk about is, being 65, I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
That this is all, and I don't think I have tidal waves. I don't know. I still do have tidal waves. When my tidal waves at this age are all about people not meeting my expectations. And I guess that hasn't changed, has it? My daughter, after I had custody of those kids, I watch her pretty much like a hawk, so we don't fall into that pit again. And I mean, I didn't even have that when I was younger, but now I can't even accept it. She makes a misstep. She's not working. She's not, I mean, like, it's inconceivable to me how you would miss a bill. It's just inconceivable.
Is your daughter like an EP or something?
I don't know what she's people. Oh, it's whatever it is, it's people. I never even have tried to. I should. I guess maybe I'd understand her better. But she calls me, and it's like they put me on the schedule, and that she this and he that, and I'm like, I'm not into it at all. I have to just bear down and listen. But her irresponsibility makes me madder than I've ever been in my whole life. It's weird.
Oh, hey, so Laura, have you been keeping up with objective personality lately or no?
Yes and no. I thought I was, but I don't know a thing about the socials. So
yeah, right. I was gonna bring up the social type to you because
I'm missing.
yeah, because it sounds like the conflict you're having with your daughter is a social type kind of problem.
Oh, okay.
Like, would you say you're like a very responsible person? You want to make sure that everything's
I really can't imagine missing a bill. I mean, like one time I wrote a hot chick in college that, I thought my dad covered. Like my whole life, I've never missed a credit card bill. I just can't. I mean, it's unfathomable to me. You get in trouble. I'm a rule follower. Follow the rules.
Well, in the social type, so if you're a 1, you're like hyper competitive and you want to be the best and you want to be like high status. But so that's like them. But then their savior is also responsibility, which is 2. So if you're a 1, your second savior social type is 2. So responsibility, right? Now if you're a 2, responsibility is the most important thing to you in the world, and also working. And then your other savior social type is 4, which is friends, right? So you like responsibility and friends. That's the thing, right? And then if you're 3, you're a specialized. You like specialization. So you narrow down on one focus thing. You like 9 to 5. You like routines.
That's me.
But you don't like responsibility is your biggest problem. You never take responsibility for anything. That's you.
That's me. Well, I mean, like I worked because I had to, but I mean, I don't want to be responsible for picking a movie. I don't want to be responsible. I don't. I mean, when I was younger, I used to volunteer for stuff, and I was in agony until I finished it all the time. Because I wanted to be in social circles, or I wanted to be higher at work or something. And I didn't work. I've only worked about 16 years of my whole life.
Wow.
Well, that's not true, because I kept books for my ex-husband's business, but I was at home. So yeah, I can't take that responsibility. And so I don't know. That's a real mix. How's that work out?
Well, we haven't covered 4 yet, but
okay.
You could be a 4 or 3. We don't know. If you're a 3, you have demon friends though. So friends are like, something that you kind of have trouble with. It's not the worst. Ones have the most problem with friends, right? Because if you want to be the guy in the top, then everyone else is in the bottom, and then you're not really equal with anybody, and you don't really make friends. Especially because you would be happy to abandon people in favor of success. So
yeah, no, I'm not like that, but I don't have hardly any friends. I have very, very few friends.
Okay, so you could be a 3, but let's cover 4 and see.
Okay.
So 4 is all about friends. It's friends first. No matter what, and the goal in life as a 4 is to make a lot of friends and just be happy. You have no ambition whatsoever. Oh, you got yeah.
I'll shut it off.
No worries. Yeah, 4s are like very unambitious. They have no ambition in life. They just want to be happy and hang out with friends. Maybe your daughter's that, who knows? But like, And then your other savior is 3. So that's like specialization. So yeah, you do go to work. It's 9 to 5. If the boss asks you to come more work, you're like, nope, 9 to 5, I'm out. Because I just want to hang out with friends because it's all about friends.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Unless all your friends are working, then okay, you'll work. But like
Yeah.
so that's like a 4. My girlfriend's a 4, for example, right?
Okay.
It's weird because she's introverted. She's like a sleep consume play blast INTJ. So she's super introverted. And if your lead sleep, you avoid people. So she's weird as hell.
Oh, bless her heart.
I know it's weird. She's like weird living a weird limbo because she wants to avoid people, but nothing makes her more happy than people. It's so weird. Like the biggest smile I've seen on her face, and when she's like full of energy, is when she's hanging with so many friends and they're all like, making fun of each other, having fun. It's such a weird contradiction, right? So
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so yeah, but she's a 4 because she's always wondered. She's like for a while there was like this culture. It's called like being a boss bitch. So
Okay.
you're like this alpha female, and you
Oh,
run
okay.
you run the show, and you're a boss.
Yeah. Piranha.
What's that?
A piranha.
Yeah, you're successful at work, you look good, you're
Yeah.
fit,
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my girlfriend's like, I just can't relate to that. I just want to sit home and just relax. I don't care for this kind of stuff. So um and then she's always wonders, like, I don't have any career aspirations either. She's like, I just kind of want to have random jobs and do it for fun and quit after if I get bored.
Yeah.
So that's like the life of a 4. So how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself being more of that person, or like you want to be focused at a task, and you want to specialize in something, and friends is not what comes first. It's specializing, being an expert in this one area.
Well, can I go back to the I don't want responsibility?
That's 3. 3 is like very, so 3s and 4s are both anti-responsibility, but
Oh,
3s are even worse than 4s, because for 4s, their fourth demon social type is 2, which is responsibility, while for 4s it's their third. So it's activated and they'll do it, but if they don't have to,
I, I think the confusion there is I have a personal responsibility, like paying my bills and stuff,
yeah.
but I cannot stand being responsible for people in any way. I mean, they had me train somebody one time, and that was the worst experience. And I just don't want to be responsible for. I mean, anything I am responsible for, it's out of sincere commitment, like to my mother or to my children. Otherwise, I am running as fast as I can away from it. I can't give you a good example though. Um, what is the sense of responsibility? I mean, like, I'm going to pay my bills, and I'm I'm very, very much a rule follower. I've always said God had me on a short chain because I mean, I just, I'm just a rule follower. And so I'm going to go by the rules and pay, carry insurance and have my driver's license renewed. But I don't want responsibility for being in charge, heading the committee. Does that make sense?
It does, but I'm not sure if you're a 3 or 4 though. What about friends? It's okay. So if you're a 3, you have high flex also, so you like to kind of brag about being good at this one area. Do you see yourself doing that?
Yes, very much. And I will beef up enough to just look like I'm, you know, better in that area. And I pretend like I can talk about anything. I mean, if I'm, out, like, uh, if I had to go on with my ex-husband to, I was always great at dinners and stuff because I could talk about any, I'm always willing to, because I'm more interested in learning. If you want to tell me about how to drill an oil well, I'm like, okay, how do you do that? It's so much easier than like talking about whatever social conversation is. I used to joke that I didn't know what partying was because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I have no clue what that is. So, but I'm always very interested in a and I can talk well about nearly anything. At least BS through it. If you want to talk about astronomy or philosophy or neuroscience, or I can fake it. I know enough to fake it, and I want to look like I know it.
That's funny.
I do.
Okay, you're a 3 then from the sound of it, because you're anti-responsibility with some showing off, and
Yeah.
yeah, you're a 3. I'm a 2, so for me
Okay.
it's all about responsibility. Like
Oh, okay.
like my friends, like if I don't do anything, no one's gonna do anything. So I have to plan everything. I'm responsible for planning. I'm responsible for the logistics. So like I'm responsible for everything. Same as my girlfriend. She's a 4, demon responsibility. So I'm like, okay, I have to be. I'm like, did you pay your credit card bill yet? She's like, no, I forgot.
Yeah.
Can you pay your credit card? Did you take your supplements? Are you eating healthy? Like and she's like freaking out to me. She's like, oh no, I got scammed. I bought this car and I got scammed. I'm like, okay, I'll go sell it for you. So yeah, I feel responsible for people, and so yeah, it's kind of it's
Yeah.
annoying, but
Yeah.
yeah, it is what it is. It's kind of good too in some way, because when you're responsible for everyone, um, then you have control on what happens in this situation. Um, because I can just be like, okay, I'm not gonna do anything, and everyone freaks out because like no one's gonna take responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Then
That's true.
I always get my way. I'm like, okay, well, I want this, so if we're gonna do this, I get this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was like, okay, you take it. I'm like, great, so it has its perks too.
It does. And my ex-husband is like that. I mean, even though we've been divorced nearly 20 years, I talk to him every day. He fixes the dishwasher, he trims the trees, and he does that for like 20 people, or more.
Yeah.
And man, I miss that. So, I mean, we're still good friends, but I did. It's so nice to have somebody in charge. I mean, I didn't need him to remind me to pay the bill. Well, sometimes I did, I guess. And it's true that probably I developed more responsibility being married to him all those years. I got more committed to that. Although but you know what? That's interesting. Huh. Because when I was younger, I was probably less responsible. I flunked 11 hours my freshman year. And then I had to straighten up. You have this epiphany of awareness. And so I realized if I was going to get through college, daddy wasn't going to pay for 11 hours of F. I wanted to ask you something.
Yeah, go
Is
for
it
it.
a good time?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Do you think, and I'm just being influenced from the internet, do you think that the jumper, especially in my case, I kind of view it as being an unhealthy ISTJ? Do you think there's any wisdom to that?
No, I don't agree with that. I mean, like, I don't know if you know C.S. Joseph. I spoke to him about it before.
Mm-mm.
He's
No.
another personality guy. He has a YouTube
Okay.
channel. So he does believe in jumpers, but he believes jumpers were a result of being undeveloped. So your second function was undeveloped, essentially. And maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know, because like I feel like my consume was higher when I was younger. So but no, I don't think so. The weird thing though with being a jumper is your second function is still stronger than your third. So you have SI and FI, right? But TE is your second function, not FI. So even though you're putting more repetition to practice your SI and FI, if you actually practice your extrovert thinking just as much as your FI, your extrovert thinking will be a lot stronger than your introvert feeling. So it depends. So like you could look at it as like containers. So your first function has the biggest container, Second one is second biggest, third one is third biggest, and the fourth one is like, like a teacup or something, right?
Mhm.
So you go from
Yeah.
like you got from like I don't know, like a, what do you call that thing? Like the water, the water in the offices that they have.
Yeah.
Thing. Yeah, the big water jugs, to like a milk jug to like a cup and then the teacup, right? That's kind of
Yeah.
like a good example. So yeah,
I think that's interesting because, as a blaster, like I said, it's always been the part I hated about myself,
yeah.
or not hated, but, I suffered when you get home, I suffer from why did I blah, 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 blah. So probably, that's made me suppress TE.
No, that's overuse of your TE because you're double
I
activated.
know, but I hated it. So I was like, don't do that.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good thing because that's what you're supposed to be doing. Because like for me, I have double activated play, and I'm like, oh my god, why did I do that? I have the same kind of reaction as you. Not from teaching, but like using play too much.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to get away from people. I need to use my sleep because I'm sleep last. I need to do what my girlfriend's doing, and she needs to do what I'm doing. You know, uh,
Yeah.
and like I feel good when I do hide away from people. So, as I got older, I'm learning to set boundaries and stuff. I'm like, okay, this person is kind of toxic, so I'll see this person once a year. That's it. If you want to hang with me twice, too bad. Wait till next year. So and then I'm like, oh, I feel good. I feel good. Like not now
Yeah.
that I have those like rules set for myself, right? Because I know if I saw you more than once, I'm gonna feel like crap. So I'm gonna only see you once a year. So but that's like sleep, right? Yours is consumed. That's why I think earlier when you were saying, oh, I'm listening to people more, because that's you figured out, just like, listening is the answer, you know, like
Yeah.
consuming is the answer. For me, it's like, no, using sleep is the answer. The answer is always the fourth animal, right? So your answer is consume, my answer is sleep. And if you consume more and I use sleep more, life would be a lot easier and better. And you won't go home and cringe yourself
Yeah.
for doing that. And sometimes you have to learn the hard way. And I feel like we both learned the hard way. And
Yeah.
and then
Well, and you go into when you're forced to extrovert and you go into that social setting, it's funny I drop into consume because it's almost like I'm on stage. Do you know what I'm saying?
I
So
guess
that
you're
makes
doing
sense that I'm going somewhere that's not natural and I'm play acting. Does that make sense?
well, I think
That's what I'm
I,
hearing.
I think you want to come across as a good listener, because maybe you feel like several times you went back home and you're like, oh my god, I talk too much, you know and then you have sleep, right? So you have the
Yeah.
self-awareness, and you're like, I need to stop that. Don't
Yeah.
do it
Yeah.
again, right? So
Yeah. You just
so
want to.
next time you listen, I don't know if you're listening for real because you are consume last. Like, they fake, a lot of consume last fake listens. I don't know if you actually listen
I do. I mean, like, I'm really interested in what you're saying. I almost feel like it's a therapy session.
yeah,
I'm really interested in how you bounce back.
yeah. Oh, I
But
guess you like play. You like using play then.
is that it? Okay.
Yeah, bouncing back is play.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you double activated play and so responsible?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, to me, that means they're not paying attention to anything.
If you're
Double activated play.
Well, play is not playing. I'm not like playing.
But
Play is
it's not attentive.
it's attempted to people, because play is all about people, right?
Okay.
It's engagement with others. So um maybe play is not the right word, but
Okay.
it's being engaged with people, it's being with people. So
Okay.
I'm double activated play. So
People, people, people.
yeah, like people is not the hardest thing for me. Like I get rusty obviously if I introvert too much.
Uh-huh.
But I feel like I pick it up quicker than people who don't have high play,
Yeah.
Because my girlfriend's always shocked at how like good I am at dealing with people. And I just tell her it's practice, it's not magic. I just do it a lot. That's why I'm good at it. If you did it all day like I was, you would be good too.
Yeah.
So, um,
but it's a superpower if you don't have it. I mean, I like I said, I watched my ex-husband, and I mean, he can just. I always joke he could command the armed services right now if he needed to. I mean, he'd just fall into it, and I'd be like, if I had to go to a party tomorrow, I'd have to take a sleeping pill.
Yeah, I mean, it's always greener on the other side, right? So
Yeah.
like, so yeah, everyone always wishes they have the other
Yeah.
superpower, but that other superpower comes with other problems too, right? So
Yeah.
And you can always practice. You don't have to be the best. You can be better than what you are today. So that's always like a possibility that you can pursue.
Yeah.
I'm sleep last, so I'm really practicing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I take it seriously, even though it's fourth. Like I have bad sleep, for example, so I went to a sleep clinic, and then now I have a CPAP machine to help me sleep better, right?
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, and then I have my exercise routine, my de-stressing routine. I see a psychologist, I see physiotherapists, massage therapists, chiropractors, dentists. Yeah, I do the whole gambit. I take responsibility for all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and then part of sleep is also taking care of your emotions, right? So, when negative emotions pop up, I don't keep it inside nowadays. I used to when I was younger. So, like earlier, one of my coworkers, she's being snarky at me. And at first I was kind of like annoyed at her being snarky, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take responsibility. I'm gonna be the adult. So I phoned her and I talked to her about it. I'm like, hey, I feel like you're being passive aggressive. Can we talk this out? And then we're good after, right? So, it's all about responsibility.
Yeah.
So for my emotions. So and then I felt better after. I'm not holding any resentment or
Yeah.
anything. So I guess that's the power of responsibility, is like I don't need to complain in the back end because I've done something about it.
Yeah.
Then it's not hanging over my head and stressing me out, So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I probably hold it in more than you do, but I deal with it by balancing out. Well, she's right and I'm right, and she's right and I'm right. And then let it go.
Well, of course I'm doing that too, but
yeah.
But
I'm not good at confronting it. I'll hold it in.
You have feminine FI though, so it's a little bit different. I have masculine FI.
Oh, okay.
So it gets stuck. I have to bring it out, it gets stuck, right? You have feminine FI, so it can melt away, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
All right. So Laura, we're gonna wrap up the interview here.
Okay.
All right. So thanks for coming out and doing this talk about your personality. I know it's like 4 years later, but hey, it's never too late. Never too late.
Well, like I told you, I really want to grow.
Yeah, no, you did.
I still want to grow.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I mean that's amazing that you're doing that. So it's never too late. So
yeah.
Good. All right. Well, take care and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thanks a bunch. Thanks, Kendrick.
Right. Bye.